Music has been around for over 40,000 years, and since then, it has drastically changed the world. Music has been used to connect people from all over the planet. There's music in different languages that people can enjoy despite not speaking the actual language. Something that has helped the spread of music is the internet. With online forums, people can talk about their interests in music. They could even introduce people to new types of songs or genres. With the introduction of the MPEG file in 1993, it made file sharing widely available. There are websites that primarily focus on the distribution/slash sharing of music, both legal and illegal. And in this video, I'm going to go over a few of the most influential ones. Sean Fanning and Sean Parker, spelled differently of course, created Napster in June of 1999, and it immediately took the world by storm. It was the very first instance of something called peer-to-peer, or P2P for short. Peer-to-peer is file sharing without the middleman. Normally, whenever you share files online, the information is sent to a server, and that server determines if it is safe or not. Napster decided to take out the middleman and made file sharing more easier than ever. Despite Napster's popularity, downloading music online for free is actually illegal. The Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA for short, stepped in on December 7, 1999. They sued Napster on behalf of the 5 major record labels. People such as Dr. Dre and Metallica were not happy that people got to listen to their music for free. The publicity from this event led to Napster getting even more popular than it already was. There were over 80 million registered users in mid-2001. Unfortunately, this was only short-lived, and on July 11, 2001, the service was permanently shut down. The effects that Napster had on both the internet and the music industry as a whole had done irreparable damage. In the year 2000 alone, album sales dropped over 33%. Following Napster's immediate popularity, a man named Mark Gorton created LimeWire in the year 2000. Unlike Napster, LimeWire was not only used to share music, but videos and programs alike. Unfortunately, there were many users who would post viruses and malware under the disguise of a normal file. In mid-2008, there was an investigation that selected 123 random files. 37 of those files contained some form of malware, about 30%. Despite the obvious flaws with LimeWire, it was still incredibly popular, having over 50 million users at its peak. LimeWire also had a paid service called LimeWire Pro. It costed $21.95 for a 6-month service and $35 flat for a year-long service. Funnily enough, you were actually able to download LimeWire Pro on LimeWire. While LimeWire seemed to be a promising substitute for Napster, the RIAA once again stepped in. In early 2011, they claimed statutory damages of $72 trillion to the industry. $72 trillion is more than triple the world's annual GDP in 2011. Fortunately, the judge thought that number was ridiculous and settled for only $105 million, a little more reasonable. Shortly after this lawsuit, LimeWire was permanently shut down, never to see the light of day again. As it turns out, after Napster's death, there was another significant platform other than LimeWire, Kazaa. Kazaa was created on March 1st, 2001, by a group of Scandinavian developers. As it turns out, those developers went on to create Skype in 2003 as well. Kazaa was closed source, meaning that no one actually knew how it worked. If 2 users were to upload the same song, no one knew how it sorted and organized them. This led to people being misled by titles and downloading the wrong songs. Users would also upload malware disguised as normal programs in order to get people to download them. About 15% of all files on Kazaa had some form of malware on them. In an effort to get people to stop using the service, our good old pals over at the RIAA would purposely upload different types of malware. In 2003, the RIAA also started suing Kazaa's users for using the service. They mainly targeted college students because they knew that they couldn't afford it. As you can imagine, Kazaa slowly started to die off because of this. No one wanted to get sued, of course. And in 2006, Kazaa's parent company, Charmin, was sued by MGM for $100 million in damage to the 4 major music companies. After the trial, Kazaa's creator agreed to convert Kazaa into a legal music service. Unfortunately, after all the lawsuits and other failed business ventures, Kazaa was permanently shut down in 2012. In 2001, Apple released the iTunes Store to the public. iTunes was advertised as a jukebox software that allowed users to listen and create their own music libraries on a Mac. It was the first major streaming platform that required users to actually purchase the software, not including LimeWire Pro, of course. Users could import audio tracks and turn them into an MP3 file. They were able to listen to radio stations, create playlists, download songs, and even listen to podcasts. In its first week alone, it had over 275,000 downloads. The only thing holding this software back from becoming a serious staple in the music industry was its restraints. iTunes was specifically designed for Apple devices, such as Macs or the iPod. Most people who indulge in online music consumption dabbled in Windows, a completely different operating system. That was until 2003, when they released iTunes for Windows. It was an immediate online hit. On the very first day, it had over 1 million downloads. Practically everyone and their grandma was talking about it. iTunes had such an effect on the music industry that since 2004, a year after iTunes was released on Windows, music sales had been on a constant decline. While it wasn't only iTunes' fault for this happening, they certainly had a great deal in its occurrence. Ever since then, iTunes has done nothing but increase in popularity. To this day, it could be argued that it is still the best platform to listen to music on. Another legal competitor in the music streaming service scene would be Pandora. Pandora was created by Will Glasser, Sean Kraft, and Tim Westergren in 2005 after a short beta period. At first, you had to purchase a subscription in order to utilize the service, but eventually a free version was created. This didn't come without ads, however. By having ads, it allowed the creators to get money while still having their service be free. The reason they created the free version was because the users discovered a way to get the premium version for basically nothing. By creating a new email, they would be able to bypass the 10-hour limit on the free trial provided. Every time 10 hours would pass, the user would just repeat the process as many times as they pleased. Whenever it was released, Pandora was popular, but not iTunes' level of popular. Pandora's main selling point was its functionality as a radio. If you wanted to listen to a certain song, you'd have to listen to a radio station based on that genre/song unless you were a premium user. Pandora was very good at introducing listeners to new music. It used an algorithm to find you new music based on your listening history and liked songs. Unfortunately, Pandora has been on a steady decline since late 2016, having lost nearly half of their users since. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next decade, Pandora would be a fragment of what it is now. The last service that I'm going to go over is Spotify. Spotify was launched in 2008 by Daniel Ek and Martin Lauritsen. It was originally formed in Stockholm, Sweden, but has since expanded to multiple countries across the world, including the United States. At first, they were not very successful, only managing to get a couple million users after a few months. Spotify didn't get any international attention until July of 2011. They decided to launch Spotify in the United States. It immediately took the attention of most Americans because it was free. This was only for 6 months, however. The reason they chose to do this was to show the American people what they could have if they bought premium. In late 2012, Spotify permanently made a free version, with the exception of an ad break every 4 to 7 songs. Because of this, Spotify began to explode in popularity, going from around 20 million users to nearly 40 million by the end of 2013. Since 2015, Spotify has been increasing in users, starting from 18 million to 226. Spotify is widely regarded as one of, if not the biggest streaming service for music, and it's personally my go-to.